What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about Wild Card Weekend and what a Wild Card Weekend it was. I mean, the ultimate winner is the NFL because they just put on an absolute banger of a weekend. All but two games were so much fun to watch. I mean, it started so early on with Rams-Panthers in the opening game of the weekend. And then all the way through Monday night, the games were good. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo at three. Bang! Bang! At the wall, he jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode and starting with the first game of the weekend, Rams and Panthers. I mean, Sean McVay and Matt Stafford heading into Carolina for a second time this year. The first time, it didn't go as planned. The Rams ended up losing. Matt Stafford threw 3 interceptions, but I thought for sure that wasn't happening twice. Well, really what happened is that we had a close game yet again. I wasn't expecting it, but Dave Canales and Bryce Young put up a really good performance. The problem is, it was going to be nearly impossible to defeat Sean McVay for a second time within a month. And the thing for the Panthers was, if they were going to win this game, they had to do everything perfectly, and they certainly didn't do that. I mean, there were a couple turnovers. There was a muff punt that I can think of, and the Panthers overall, they didn't play their best game of football. But for the Rams, I feel like they should have taken advantage of that more. I feel like they should have went into Carolina and just taken care of business. And honestly, LA has had a really tough month or so. The past 3 weeks of the regular season and then the opening round of the playoffs all didn't bode so well for LA. And heading into a matchup against the Bears, against Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, a young and hungry Chicago Bears team, you're going to have to be on the top of your game. You're not going to be able to make little mistakes because the Bears are feisty. They are a really good football team, and I'll get to them in a little bit. But Caleb Williams is absolutely the real deal. 34-31 was the final in this one. LA won it. And listen, at this point in the season, I think if the Rams win one more playoff game, Matt Stafford maybe wins the MVP, maybe he doesn't. I think this is it for him. And winning seems to be such a big factor for Stafford. He seems like a team-first guy who's going to put winning ahead of winning MVPs and stuff like that. But if the Rams could win another game, make an NFC Championship appearance, maybe even a Super Bowl appearance, I think this is it for Stafford. He rides off in the sunset. Maybe he gets his MVP. And for the Giants now, I know this sounds crazy, but could Sean McVay become available to trade for? I mean, he's got 1 year left on his contract. A lot of times coaches don't like to be sitting ducks, as they're called, where they're going to be a free agent. NFL coaching free agency, I guess. So McVay rather is going to ask for his extension this offseason. But if Stafford retires, is he really going to want to stay with the Rams and have to develop another quarterback and have to really build that team back up? Or does he want to get out of there and go to maybe not a proven team, but a team that's up and coming with a quarterback he thinks he can continue to develop, take to a new level, Jackson Dart and the New York Giants? Could Sean McVay get traded to New York? I don't know how likely it is. It all depends on if A, Matt Stafford retires, and B, LA doesn't offer Stafford a big-time contract. I think there's so many variables that go into it. But what happens this week against the Bears is going to be a huge determining factor in that. All right, moving on to the next game and the game of the week. The Green Bay Packers going on the road to take on the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay Packers heading into Soldier Field and jumping out to a 21-3 lead. But the Chicago Bears wouldn't go away. The Chicago Bears stayed within striking distance. And finally, at the last possible second, the Chicago Bears made their move as they've done all season. It's almost been the strategy for the Bears to stay in games until the fourth quarter, and then when teams think they have the win in the bag, when they start easing up a little bit, you strike. You let them know you're still there. I'm not dead yet. And then you win the game. I mean, it was ridiculous. An 18-point comeback, 31-27 the final. It seemed like the game was over so many times, but the Bears just wouldn't go away. And getting onto the topic of Caleb Williams. Oh my goodness. Caleb Williams played like an elite quarterback in the National Football League in that game. 361 through the air. But what I want to highlight is that incredible final drive of the game. Having the poise of a 10-year veteran to stand in the pocket, to get out of the pocket, to be elusive, to throw the ball downfield, to hand it off, to hit his check down, doing everything the right way, and it led to a Bears win. This is the Caleb Williams we were promised out of USC. Caleb Williams in his rookie season didn't really perform to the standards. I don't think he was pleased with his performance. I don't think the Bears organization were pleased with his performance. But that game, and really this year for Caleb Williams, it's been such a step in the right direction. It's been such a bounce back season and getting on the right track for the remainder of his career because he is just getting started. He's in the second year of his career. And if you take a look at the playoff bracket right now, out of the teams remaining, so many of them have come from that 2024 draft. If you look at the NFC side, the Bears with Caleb Williams. If you look at the AFC side, you've got Drake May and the Patriots and Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. And then last year, Jaden Daniels went to the NFC Championship game as a rookie. I mean, that draft has the potential to be one of the greatest draft classes of all time. There's still time for guys like Marvin Harrison. There's still time for guys like Malik Neighbors who have gotten off to an incredibly hot start in their career. I mean, the sophomore year wasn't there, but that's because he was injured. That 2024 class will certainly go down in history. And getting back to this Bears-Packers game, a lot of people are going to look at it and say, oh, the Packers crumbled. How do you yak away an 18-point lead in the second half? I don't think that's what it was. I think it was what the Bears do. I think it was the Bears. And I kind of referenced this earlier when I talked about their strategy of getting down and then staying in games and coming back at the last possible second. But at the end of the day, it is what the Bears do. And it's what they've done for the length of the season at this point. It's not like it's something they've done once or twice. They've done it numerous times. It's not something that's new. But next week, I don't think it works. Against a Rams team that is so good. I mean, they were top of the NFC for a large part of this season. You have to jump out to the right lead. You have to start the game hot. And it starts by establishing the run. Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift in that backfield are a dynamic duo that have been so overshadowed by the likes of Rome Odunze, Colston Loveland, Caleb Williams. The Bears just have so many weapons from every part of the field that their backfield, which has been very good, but hasn't been utilized as much as the Bears use the passing game, doesn't get the recognition maybe that they deserve. However, the Bears beat the Packers' incredible comeback win, and the Bears will move on to take on the Rams in the divisional round, getting to the next matchup, the Jaguars and the Bills. Entering this game, Sean McDermott had the weight of the world on his shoulders. Entering the game, Josh Allen had so much pressure on him. If this isn't the year for the Bills, I don't know when it will be. There is no Patrick Mahomes. There is no Lamar Jackson. There is no Joe Burrow. And the Bills were nearly eliminated by Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, they wiggled past Jacksonville, and now I have a feeling they're going to go on a run. This team has the makings of a squad that narrowly wins their first game, but finds a level of confidence and gets going. They get rolling. The offense starts clicking. They've been a tad inconsistent all year long. I think they're going to hit their stride in this playoff, the rest of this playoff run. I mean, the game next week against the Broncos is going to be a really good matchup entering the week. I'm either calling Broncos, Bills, or Bears, Rams game of the week, but both of those games are on Saturday, which I absolutely hate because both of the better games happen earlier in the week. I would like to save those for Sunday. More true football spirit, but that's besides the point. The Bills escape, survive and advance, the will to win. I mean, Josh Allen is such a seasoned vet, and everyone on that Bills team has playoff experience. That last drive, that fourth quarter, it showed. The Bills were clearly the better and more experienced team. I mean, on that final drive, Josh Allen got picked up by 3 of his offensive linemen and was just carried to the goal line. The ability to have the mental bandwidth to stay in the game, to not get down when you go down in the final couple minutes, it's impressive. And you get rattled when you're in the playoffs for the first time. You don't have that ability when you've never been there before, but the Bills have, and they showed that they're the more seasoned team. And shifting to the Jaguars, what a successful first season for Liam Cohen. I mean, you take the franchise from a 4-13 season to a 13-4 season immediately. Trevor Lawrence has always been a good quarterback. He might not be what we thought he was going to be coming out of Clemson, but he's always been a good quarterback, and he showed it. This year, he was finally able to expand on his abilities and improve a lot. And I think it's because the coach, he had the guys around him. This is really the first time. And the Jaguars' rush defense was awesome this year. I don't think entering the week, they didn't allow a 75-plus yard rushing performance from a single player. I'm looking at the box score right now for Buffalo. James Cook led the team with 46 yards. Jacksonville went an entire season without allowing a single running back to rush for 75 or more yards. That is so impressive. And I didn't hear anything about Jacksonville's defense. They were kind of just a run-of-the-mill team, and being an AFC South team, a crummy division that really gets a bad rap, rightfully so though, because the division never has a top team in it. I think the Texans are probably better than the Jags this year. The Jags are benefiting from strength of schedule, though. I just think the AFC South is weaker overall. It's just not the premier conference in the NFL. And they go down again. So 27-24, and the Bills move on. I don't know how. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because Buffalo has to this year, because Buffalo is seasoned. They have so much experience, and I think they're going to continue to win. Getting to the next game, the Eagles and the 49ers. Oh, man, as a Giant fan, you can probably see my big Giants hat in the background. It feels so refreshing to watch Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and A.J. Brown getting into it on the sideline, and Devontae Smith, and every one of those Eagles go down. Such a good feeling every year. Last year it sucked. We got it early on this year, though. And it makes it even better that the Eagles had a chance to win the game. I mean, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles were driving within the final minutes, and Jalen Hurts threw into quadruple coverage on 4th down. Hurts is such a mobile quarterback. I'm sure there's somewhere he could have scrambled. I'm sure there's someone he could have hit. Because if there's 4 people defending 1 receiver, someone's got to be open. I mean, that's simple math. Bad decision there, but I think it wasn't just Jalen Hurts not being able to find the open man on 4th down and the season on the line. It was Saquon Barkley not being able to run the ball. It felt like he was going backwards on each and every rush. I mean, he had the first run at the start of the game. It was the first drive that went for about 30 yards or so. But after that, it felt like he didn't break a big one. It felt like he wasn't picking up 10 yards on a single carry. It felt like it was 2 to 3 yards, if that, each time he touched the ball. And A.J. Brown and Nick Sirianni, I don't think that reputation, that relationship is reparable. I mean, these are two competitors that have been going at it all season long. I mean, it started last year when A.J. Brown is reading on the sideline. It continued this year when Sirianni didn't want the Eagles throwing Brown the ball. And I don't know if that's necessarily on Sirianni, but Sirianni could have told Hurts, yo, throw it to A.J. Brown. He hasn't touched the ball today. He's our best target. He's a physical specimen, and he could go up over anyone and make a grab. He could have told Jalen Hurts, yo, find A.J. Brown. He's open on the sideline. We need him if we're going to win the Super Bowl again. And overall for the Eagles this year, I think there was a sense of complacency. I think there was a sense of the job's finished. We got our championship last year. We're just going to chill now. I think it was definitely there with Saquon. He didn't have nearly as good a season he did last year. In 24, he was in the MVP conversation. In 25, he wasn't all that. He was more than your run-of-the-mill running back. But overall, I didn't think Saquon was anything too special this year. Of course, he's going to be top 5 in the league. He's paid to do that. He's Saquon Barkley. That's the expectation. But he wasn't outstanding like he was in previous seasons. And overall for the Eagles, I think the Philadelphia fans are absolute lunatics, and this shouldn't be the case, but it seems like Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat. I mean, his seat was hot before the Eagles won the championship last year. Then the championship bought him all of, how about 11 months? And after a first-round playoff exit, he's back on the hot seat again, it seems like. It doesn't make sense to me. You would think winning a world championship buys you at least a season or two, but I guess not. I guess Eagle fans are just so ridiculous, and the Philadelphia market is just so out of line that Sirianni is potentially going to get fired again. And if he does get fired, if I'm John Harbaugh, the Eagles are a desirable, attractive location. You know, you got Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. The negative of the situation is you have A.J. Brown. I don't think he's going to get back what he used to be. I think his best years are definitely behind him. He seems like more of a problem in the locker room than a benefit on the field. So if the Eagles move on from A.J. Brown, then it becomes a lot more attractive for Harbaugh, but overall, I doubt they fire Sirianni. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you just won the Super Bowl. I don't know. Eagles lose to the 49ers. For the 49ers, they're going to have a tough matchup next week against the Seattle Seahawks. They split in the regular season. Each team won on the road. 49ers will be heading up to Seattle on Sunday. Which I think it's going to be a really good game. An NFC West showdown. You can't go wrong with a divisional matchup in the postseason. And for the Niners, the problem is the lack of options on the outside. Christian McCaffrey really carries the offense. He is everything for the 49ers offense. Brock Purdy was throwing to Demarcus Robinson. Ricky Pearsall is one of their leading targets, and no disrespect to either of those guys, but if you're going to make a Super Bowl run, you've got to have better receivers than that. And I get it, they just moved off of Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk was a 0 this year. Is he even still on that team? Pearsall wasn't available for this game, making Robinson the top target. But Christian McCaffrey is such a positive in both the passing and rushing game that the Niners can get by with it. And another blow was losing out on George Kittle, who went down with an Achilles heel. He's done for the postseason. All of this is leading me to believe that Seattle is going to win. All of this is leading to me to believe that the Niners just don't have the talent to stack up with the Seahawks, and that's okay. Like, you had a really good season. At this point, it is championship or bust for the Niners. They've just been in this cycle for so long now where they're so successful in the regular season. Kyle Shanahan has things clicking, and then once you get to the postseason, an injury pops up, and something goes wrong here, and your receivers don't come to play. It's been a cycle that's repeated for a couple years at this point. So at this point, it is what it is for the Niners. I mean, they've got a chance. I don't think they'll do it, but they don't say any given Sunday for no reason. The Niners are still in it. That's the end, the fact of the matter. Getting to the Sunday night football game, the Patriots and the Chargers. I thought this was the weakest game of the week. The Monday night game was a dud too, but it's Aaron Rodgers' last game. The Texas defense was on full display. And with Patriots-Chargers, it was really just your average football game. The Patriots won 16-3. It's one of those boring Sunday night games, one of those boring Thursday night football games. And honestly, I think the Chargers are very overrated. I am one of the biggest Justin Herbert apologists. He's always my fantasy football quarterback just because you got the throwing ability and the rushing ability. But he doesn't show up in the postseason. The Chargers love to lose in games that matter. And it happened again here. If you're looking at the box score, sub 200 passing yard game from Justin Herbert. Herbert ended up leading the Chargers with 57 rushing yards. It's not good enough to beat a Patriots team who has such a good offense, rather. The game was in doubt for a little while, but that fourth quarter touchdown from Hunter Henry really put it out of reach for LA. It was 9-3 entering the fourth quarter. It was 9-3 for a good portion of the fourth quarter. But with 9:45 to go in the game, it was Hunter Henry on a 28-yard touchdown pass from Drake May to seal the deal. And getting to Drake May, because a lot of the narrative entering the week was, Drake May hasn't won a big game. Drake May hasn't done it against a really good team. Did he shut up the media yet? Personally, I still think he has a little work to do, but he's well on his way to doing so. The only reason I say he has a little work to do is because even though apparently the Chargers defense is one of the best in the NFL, I personally don't agree. He had some trouble. There was times in this game where May looked a little rattled, and maybe it was something I was looking for because I wanted to put this narrative to bed or keep it alive. But Drake May had his moments where he didn't look like the Drake May we saw all regular season. Overall, I thought he had a very good game. If I'm looking at the box score, he was very efficient, 17 for 29, 268, a touchdown, but an interception. That's a sign of not being there, and it's inexperience. It'll all come with time for Drake May. You've just got to play in these big games a little bit. And listen, the Patriots won, so no harm, no foul. Everything is good up in New England right now because Drake May got his experience. The Patriots are moving on. However, in that game, there were some mistakes that you can't refuse to point out. He had some mistakes, and I'm not worried about it personally. I think, like I said, it'll all come with time. It'll come together eventually for him, but just like anything else, you've got to be there to do it and to know how to do it on a consistent basis. So I don't think he killed the narrative yet, but this Sunday against the Houston Texans, a team with the best defense in the NFL, that narrative will either be put to bed or it's going to be brought back into the limelight. Now getting to the final game of the week, Monday Night Football, Texans versus Steelers at Acrisure Stadium. Probably the final game of Aaron Rodgers' career. I don't think they've made an official decision on it yet, but Rodgers hinted at it multiple times that this would be it for him. And if so, a legendary career ends on a pick six. Hey, he threw a touchdown pass on the last pass of his career. It was just to the wrong team. And honestly, for Rodgers, I talk about Drake May looking rattled at times in that Chargers game. Aaron Rodgers looks rattled from the Houston defense. And Rodgers is 41, 42 years old at this point, so it's a little bit different for him. there's not a narrative against him. It's just a testament to how good this Houston defense actually is. I mean, they got loose for a couple turnovers. They got a scoop and score touchdown. The Texans are built on their defense. Their offense isn't anything too special. I mean, CJ Stroud, 230 yards, a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown for Marks. They scored 2 touchdowns on offense, but defensively, I believe they scored 2 more. The facts are that Houston's defense is so much better than their offense is, and it's the real deal. It really is. I hate to talk it up so much, but it's so good, and oftentimes in the NFL today, games are track meets. Teams are trying to put up as many points as possible and as little as time as possible, and they're throwing deep bombs downfield. The offenses today are better than they've ever been before, but I love a good defense. A good old-fashioned, hard-nosed physical defense. And that's what the Texans have. With Henry to Oto, with Al Shire, with Will Anderson, right? Yeah, Will Anderson. I mean, they've just got guys all over the field. Derek Stingley, Danielle Hunter. I feel like I'm forgetting a name. Whatever. Sheldon Rankings had a sack and a half in this one. Like, everyone balled out. Everyone did their job. And that's what it is. A 50-yard pick six. And for Mike Tomlin, he stepped down, quote unquote, from being the Steelers head coach. I think that's the Steelers front office pushing Mike Tomlin out, saying, hey, you are a legendary coach for us. You've coached here for 20 years at this point. We're going to let you take a softball in this one. We're not going to fire you. We're going to let you step down. Maybe you can join us in a front office role, because they still have his rights for 2 seasons, I believe. So he can't just up and leave and join another team. But for the Steelers, I was thinking about it a lot this week. How can you fire a coach after going to the playoffs, which you've done every single year, pretty much throughout his tenure? And the reasoning is they are ring chasing. It's just like the New York Yankees, where it's World Series or bust every single year. And personally, I don't think that's a realistic expectation given the Steelers roster. I don't think they were a Super Bowl contending team this year. And honestly, all they got to do was play 4 more quarters because the Ravens' rookie kicker missed the game-winning field goal. So nothing really changed from them making the playoffs versus getting eliminated in Week 18. And I can live with Tomlin getting fired. Previously, I was upset because I've never experienced that much success from one of my teams, so I don't think it's fair to fire Tomlin after he's delivered you so much success. I get it hasn't come by Super Bowls, but you're in the playoffs every year. You have a winning record every year. It seems like a good deal to me. And getting back to the Texans defense, as I wrap up this episode, the strategy next Sunday has to be, we need to get at Drake May. We need to establish the pass rush in the first quarter of this game. We need to do everything to make the sophomore quarterback have the worst game of his season. They are wanting to bring that narrative of Drake May not playing any big games or winning any big games back to the forefront. That has to be the goal of the Texans defense. And I think there's a good possibility it happens. All right, that'll do it for the episode. If you enjoyed, please consider commenting, following, subscribing, sharing, liking. I really appreciate all the support. Also, go check out my socials. They're all linked in the description below. Also, you can leave me a voicemail at 848-305-8073. Again, that's 848-305-8073. And a new addition is you can call in live to my live streams. You got to go check my Instagram to see when those streams will be. My next stream is going to be on Monday for the College Football National Championship. And I believe I have a special guest joining me. So go check out my Instagram for all the details on that. But for now, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.